10 minutes with Nick, and I get all my podcast ideas from social media. But I've been seeing a lot of disturbing content on social media, and it's been going on for like the last year now, about basically former high achievers, they call themselves, in school, joking about how they're absolutely paralyzed because they can't get anything done if they don't think they're going to be immediately good at it. Or they have ADHD, or they have, something because they need that high they used to get in school. Okay, couple things. Number one, chitlins of social media, and this includes everybody from basically age 42 down. Stop diagnosing yourself. You're not a doctor. Do you have a degree? And even if you have a degree, stop diagnosing yourself. It's not how diagnosing things works. It's not how it works. It's not how it's ever worked. If you are a doctor, you might have an idea of what's going on with you, but you still probably go to a different doctor because you don't know. You do not know. Stop it. Stop it right now. Everybody stop diagnosing yourself with behavioral disorders and with attention deficit disorders and with all of this nonsense. You can have a short attention span. That's a thing. You could just be in a period of your life where you're being a little lazy. Or, quite frankly, you might just be bored. You might not be doing enough with your life. These are all options to cycle through before you get to, oh dear, I have ADHD. Doctors are the only ones who can diagnose you with the actual issue you think you have. Let me go through it again. Only a doctor can diagnose you. Stop diagnosing yourself. Are we good? Are we on the same page? Fantastic. This ties directly into kids and everybody from 42 on down. Former high achievers in school. Just breathe. You gotta just breathe. You used to get A's in school, and you used to do things that you were relatively good at. Okay. It's fine. Why do you think that this makes you somehow paralyzed? Somehow paralyzed in the world around you. Life is trying new things. You can't go through life without trying new things. And I've seen this not just in the social media. You see it come true in real life because social media either creates self-fulfilling prophecies or speaks them into existence. That's two ways to say create. But you get my point. It's either reflecting real life or it's creating something that reflects real life. If you are trying something new and you're not immediately good at it, it is not a reason to immediately fall apart. The fact is, social media encourages us to pretty much immediately fall apart. Why? Because we all think we're living our lives inside of this sitcom, the point of which is to generate laughs on social media. Two things about social media. Number one, it is an advertising platform. I would know. I'm advertising this podcast on the platforms. And for those of you who have followed my advertising to this podcast, thank you. Sorry to occasionally make fun of you, even unintentionally, but it happens. And two, social media is a reflection of a life we create. It's not a reflection of real life. If your parents never told you that arts and entertainment do not necessarily directly correlate with life, I'm here to tell you that arts and entertainment do not necessarily correlate with life. Social media and your cell phone are do-nothing machines. Now, don't get me wrong. I have as much of a problem with sitting on my phone as anybody else. But it is a do-nothing machine. It is a do-nothing machine. It is a time filler. It is not a time... It's not particularly useful. Even scrolling through your email, you can sit there and say to yourself, and I do this all the time, I say to myself, oh, I'm checking my email. You're wasting time. You're just trying to fill time between the moments when you're doing something. High achievers, stop. If you are actually afraid to try new things because you don't want to risk looking bad at something, just stop. I don't want to play flag football. I'm nervous about playing flag football. Why? Well, because I used to play actual football. I'm not nervous because I don't think I would be very good at flag football. I actually think I'd be pretty good at flag football. The problem is, my problem with jumping into flag football is that I have to actually relearn a sport that I think I know, right? Like in flag football, you're not allowed to lower your shoulder when you're going into contact because it's not a contact sport. But I played years and years and years and years and years of contact sport, of football, of rugby, of lacrosse, sports where you are not only contact is part of the sport, you're encouraged to make contact. My muscle memory is lowering my shoulder. That's where I run into problems with some of the things I can try. But like if somebody invited me to play rec basketball, I would join. I'm terrible at basketball, but I would join in. Why? Because it's something to do, and it's something to do that's better than something else, right? It's better than sitting on your phone. This is the problem, is that when you get to this point, we keep coming up with excuses to do things that are not good for us. Oh, well, eating healthy is really hard, so I'm going to eat all this junk food. And don't get me wrong, guys. I do the exact same thing. I'm not exempting myself from this criticism. A lot of this podcast is really just self-critique, quite honestly. You've listened to my dating podcast. Most of my dating podcasts are self-critique on my dating process. Make fun of myself. But we got to stop putting these things onto social media and creating these like, and I said like there too, right? Like I'm poorly speaking, but we got to stop creating these excuses for ourselves. And when you put them onto social media, you're inviting someone else into the excuse. You're inviting someone else into what is, and I'm going to say this with all due love and respect, a personal failure. Now, why am I getting to this kind of? And again, I'm using this in the secular sense, but just think about it in general. In sort of the Christian ethic, and I'm bobbling this, so there are much smarter people than me to talk about with this. Go talk to a pastor, but in general, my understanding of the Christian ethic is that there's two sides to God's love. There is love, hug and kiss goodnight and everything else. Excuse me. And then there is also justice. But justice is just as deeply entwined in that love as is the hug and the kiss goodnight. And justice is, when you screw up, you get the hand. And it's not like God reaches down and smacks you and makes things bad in your life. No. The point of the Christian ethic of justice is that you reap what you sow. You'll never get in shape if you don't go to the gym. Right? God does not magically reach down and say, "Oh, but I care about you so much. Here, be in shape." No. You have to actually put in the work to improve your life. If you say to yourself, "Well, I might not be good at this, so I'm not even going to try because I used to be a high achiever," you've now given yourself an excuse for not trying. Oh, I can't pay attention to things. I must have ADD. Or maybe you stare at a box with all the information in the world 10 hours a day. Maybe you want to cut that time down. Oh, I don't like my job. Well, maybe that's because it's a job and not play. These are little things in life. And some people are in admittedly worse situations than others. Some people feel trapped in their situation because of finances, because of family considerations, whatever. But any way you go about it, You really need to just stop breathing into existence these self-fulfilling prophecies. Oh, I'm a high achiever, therefore I can't try new things. No. I used to be a high achiever at these things. Maybe I'll try these. And you know what? If you suck, guess what? Everybody sucks. The first batch of cookies you make, nobody wants to eat them. The 10th batch of cookies the 10th batch of cookies you make, maybe nobody still wants to eat them, but you see the improvement. By the time you're on batch 30, you're selling cookies left, right, and center. I don't know why you want to sell cookies in this specific situation, but you catch my drift. Look, I'm out of time. I'm at the limit of the amount of time I can speak. I'm Nick. This is 10 Minutes with Nick. Go out there and moderately achieve, all you former high achievers. Have a great day.